Okay, so this training session is being recorded, and my name is Dr. Sami Abdel Jalil, and this is TEFL or AOU TEFL in summer. We're officially concluding the course. Today should mark the end of our activities, and like I said, we're extending it a week more. And then this more week will be kind of practical, where we're going to do lesson planning and also some kind of micro teaching. So what do we have today? We're doing the productive skills, and of course, by productive skills, I mean speaking and writing. Um, so speaking and writing are the skills that we're targeting tonight, inshallah. Last time it was all about, and last time and the time before, it was all about the receptive skills. And of course, by now you know what the receptive skills are. We spoke about listening, and we also spoke about reading, and we said that they are similar in the sense that through them we receive, of course, information and we process them. We spoke about the different types of processes involved, whether we're talking about uh, top down and bottom up, remember? We also spoke about the challenges that people meet if when they listen and also when they read, and we also proposed a number of solutions for them. We also said that it's not about knowing as much as it is about implementing what you know in class. And this is what we'll try to do next week, inshallah. I'm hopeful that the course is meeting your expectations so far, because we said that this officially marks the end of our activities here. And I'm hopeful that we have added to your knowledge, your existing knowledge, because you came with knowledge, which is something I am very proud of. I'm hopeful that we have enhanced also your skills, your teaching skills. I'm hopeful that you're now perhaps more confident than ever. You can walk into classes, you can conduct classes comfortably and safely. And let me stress the fact that it also requires experience. So it's with the knowledge that you now have and the experience that you're going to gain over the years, you will make excellent professional teachers, inshallah. So before we start the activities of tonight, if you guys have any questions, pending questions about last time or the time before, go ahead, but keep them kind of educational, not procedure. Don't ask me about certificates, for example. No, just tell me or ask me about things that you perhaps don't understand, things that you would like me to perhaps clarify more. Substance. I need substance, not procedures and procedural issues. We have space for that. If you, we can give up to 5 minutes for that. Okay, so if everything is clear, that's fine. That's good. Okay, so let's talk about some of the takeaways, things that you're not likely to forget from here, things that you think made a difference, a real difference in your perspective, in the way you look at teaching, and can we talk about that? Yeah, Mia, go ahead. Or Mia.
Actually, Dr. Amaya,
Mia, yes, I know.
yeah,
Yeah, we have this glottal sound, Hamza, right? You have this Hamza in it. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, and
Yes.
Fatha on the meme.
Okay.
Okay. Actually, I was really happy by the course because you know think that I should be. I wasn't the person who used these techniques and caring about the freedom of opinion to the students, or also I didn't like the 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 textbooks and the books that we used to use during the class, because I don't know how to use it and why we should have these books. But now I think that I should change my way. I shouldn't be like this traditional teacher. And also, I think that I know now why this book is important, and I think that I think that I know now how to use it and why we should have like these books. And I don't know. I should. And also, I think that I shouldn't be the center of the class. And my students are something really important from this class, and just
Great, Mia.
and just
You came a long way also. You were kind of at the beginning, you were also very impulsive. And by impulsive, I mean that you didn't think twice about what you were going to say. Now, mashallah, you're calculating things. I mean, even your thoughts are very organized. Now there is a reason for everything. I mean, when you speak, you have something to share, and it's normally very constructive. At the beginning, it was a little bit negative. You were perhaps under the influence of bad teaching at one point in your life, and this could show in your speech. Now, mashallah, you're more balanced, you're more friendly, you're more knowledgeable. You know what you're talking about. Thank you for that. Any other? Uh, yeah, Al Gawhar.
Hello, doctor.
Yeah, hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you. I think the things that we took are very enriching. I mean, we talked about how to respond to errors, which was really one of the most important things to me, because now I know that I don't have to correct everything, which make my pressure is less, and also that teachers don't have to know everything, but we must make our own resources. I also loved how we considered, or this course is about modernity. I mean, considering students, not like before we just focus on the teacher. We also talk about the grammar and vocabulary, how to teach the students, which was really a good thing, and also the extra fun materials provided by you, like the videos you told us to see. For example, that's one series called Mind Your Language. I loved it. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you,
Yeah, great.
doctor.
Thank you, Al Gawhar. I'm so proud of you. You're an excellent learner. I know you from before, of course, but
Yes, thank
يعني
you.
keep it. You're doing an excellent job, mashallah.
Thank you, doctor.
We have space for more voices. If you guys would like to come and share with us your impressions about the whole thing, Razan, go ahead.
No,
Yeah, we can hear you now.
I honestly my idea about the course is very positive because it increased my confidence. Before, because of my health conditions, I used to believe that becoming a teacher will be some kind of an impossibility. But you taught us many several skills, so I became more confident, and I understood that nothing is impossible.
Absolutely not. Yeah, you were
So it's
also excellent, mashallah, yeah, Razan. And this is, by the way, I mean, when we met before, I taught you a couple of courses, and you measured up to my expectations always, mashallah. You're doing an excellent job. I am so proud of you. And I'm sure you'll make it as a big teacher if you would like to work as a teacher. You can be also an excellent writer. I can see that I mean, you have excellent thoughts and ideas, and I don't see why you're not writing or translating them this into pieces of writing. I don't know whether you're doing that or not already.
I am doing this already.
That's good. So you're a novelist or a short story writer or a poet? You're what?
I'm planning to become a novelist in
Oh,
addition to
that's
teaching.
nice. That's interesting to know. Perhaps at one point I can refer to one of your books, and I say this girl was my student at one point. This great writer is or was one of my students.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, inshallah. Okay, Razan, would you like to add something? Because I stopped you in the middle, I'm sorry.
I also really like the idea of explaining many theories and showing us the different debates and opinions.
Great.
This
Thank you.
this style of teaching give us the chance to become more creative when we work, inshallah.
Yeah,
This course made
I would use the word reflective teachers.
yeah,
Reflective teachers are those who take their profession very seriously by thinking about what they do and what they don't do. And then they are ready to switch gears and change directions if they think they are not doing what they are supposed to be doing. So this is one of the big reasons why I expose you to the videos, whether my video articles or the things that I create with media. Being a reflective teacher is, I think, will be one of the big takeaways from this course, to think about what you're doing and to be willing to change if you think that what you're doing is not what you think you should do. Okay, thank you, Razan. I think we have space for one more before we start. So if not, yeah.
Can I share, Doctor?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
In fact, I am feeling that I am now the best from before. I speak confidently. Now I have more than experience for teaching. I have explored strategies that assist me to be good teacher.
Nice.
Now I go to interview in the Syrian school. I am confident. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Shams.
Course is very useful for me.
Thank you, Shamsa. You did
Thank you,
also
Doctor.
an excellent job. Inshallah, we'll have time to reflect again on, perhaps focus more on the language part, and we can have some initiatives. And yeah, I have plans for a course, a language course, where we can together um, be better speakers of the language, and focusing perhaps more on our grammar as teachers, our vocab, enriching our vocabs. But let me think of a way as how we can have this short and sweet course. I'm thinking of it, and I'll let you know, inshallah, when I am ready to give it to you, inshallah. طيب. Let's go to what we have on the agenda tonight. And like I said, it's going to be the productive skills. We're going to start with speaking. So let me share But even before doing that, because this is perhaps what I'm going to say and do is probably relevant, we spoke about the importance of the course book. We spoke about the debate that is being, that is going on perhaps as we speak about whether the course book is useful or not. And again, when I talk about the course book, I talk about it as part of my planning, a part of my planning before I walk into class, and also part of my class activity tasks that I assign from the book. Spoke about that, and we said that ignoring the course book entirely is not the best policy. There are things that are very good in the textbook that we can utilize. And also, we need to look at the course book from the perspective of the student who needs something to rely back on when he or she goes home. He needs structure, he needs reassurance that what he did in class will go with him back home. So it's not only the perspective of the teacher that we were soliciting, we were also speaking from the perspective and the angle of vision of the student. Spoke about the good and the bad, spoke about best practices when it comes to using the course book. What we said about the course book is relevant to what I'm going to show you now. I'm going to introduce you to another small video, and it's going to be about authenticity in ELT, whatever that means. When I talk about authentic material, when I talk about an authentic lesson and an authentic teacher, these are terms and phrases that you're likely to hear a lot. The idea of authentic material and authentic teaching. So, whatever that means, let me ask you, what do you think? Let's talk generically about the word authenticity and authentic, and then move to ELT and see whether the meaning is the same or perhaps different. So generically, and if we consult any dictionary, what do you think authenticity means? Come to the mic and share with us. When I say that, when I say authenticity, what are the associations of the word? What is the meaning of the word? Okay, yeah.
Hello? Oh, sorry.
Okay, go ahead, please. I
Sorry.
go ahead.
I was gonna say authentic would be like any real life material that would be used in everyday life that people will come across. And if we're talking about teaching,
No, and I'm not talking, Fatma, I'm not talking
teaching.
about teaching. I mean, can you give me
Okay.
a synonym for the word
authentic?
authenticity?
Genuine?
Yeah, when something is genuine, when something is original, if you like. What would be the antonym? What would be the opposite of authentic? Yeah, go ahead, Shamsa. What would be the antonym or the opposite of authentic?
Authentic is the thing is fixed and don't change.
You're close, but this is obviously not what I have in mind. If I ask you about a synonym, you give me a word. If I ask you about an antonym, you also give me a word. So what would be the antonym, the opposite of authentic? Maya, would you like to answer this?
Can we set fake things?
Yeah, fake.
Real things?
Yeah, yeah, or perhaps not. I would say
Superficial
artificial. Artificial. When
or
something,
superficial?
not everything that is inauthentic is superficial. It can be inauthentic and it can be complicated and sophisticated. So I wouldn't go for superficial. I would go more for artificial. Um, okay, artificial means not genuine, not. Um, I mean, you're not putting your heart to it, if you like. We'll talk more about that. So this is if we're talking about authenticity in general in life. Let's talk about authenticity in ELT. And I gather that you have done your homework. I asked you to go and watch the video. Have you done that? If you have watched the video on authenticity, raise your hand. Okay, good. We have quite a few. Yeah, that's good. Okay. طيب. So whatever you understood, so we're now talking about authenticity in the classroom, the English classroom, in ELT. Okay. طيب. I don't know whether, Maya, did you say something? You were saying something, okay? Go ahead. So what is
No, actually,
authenticity?
oh, it was like reading text in the class and how to develop it and make it more useful, something like that.
Yeah, it's
Reading
something
text.
like that, but it's not, yeah, it's something like that, but not exactly that.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go Hara.
It means we take like materials from newspaper or social media posts and we modify it according to the student's level. This is what I understand.
Yes, and why? Why would we do that?
To make it real and to engage them.
Yeah, you mean if you have something from real life, it would be more engaging?
Yes, yes. And also when there are like conversations, when it is artificial, I mean there is no engagement from them, from the
Mhm,
students.
mhm. Remember that you're preparing students for life.
Yes, yes,
So
exactly.
if you keep giving them inauthentic things, if you keep giving them things that are prepared, that are artificial, you're not in
Yes,
this way preparing them for the future, right?
yes, exactly.
Yeah. Thank you, Al Gawhara. Anybody else about the video? We're again talking about authenticity and ELT, authentic material and materials. Those who have watched the video, please come to the mic and tell us perhaps more.
It was like Gohara said that it was any text that's written, but it's not for the purpose of teaching.
Mm,
But real material, like she said, newspapers or blogs,
mm,
and modifying that for the students' interest.
uh-huh. Fatma, do you sometimes go out of your way and bring in authentic material for your students?
For my first graders, the only extra things I bring for them are my reading books I have here at home, like
Mm,
stories,
mm,
and I'll have them read that.
yeah. Okay. Do you grade that? Do you grade the passages, the exercises?
The extra material, I don't grade the exercises. I will just see how their reading is in general, not just
Mm.
yeah. I'll just grade their reading in general
Mm.
to see if they actually understand the passage, if they're able to comprehend. If that's what we're talking about, comprehension, I'll see
Yes.
if just able to comprehend
Yeah.
who the main characters are.
Yeah. My because this got echoed so many times in the video, the fact that you don't grade the text itself, but you grade the task. You
The
think of
process,
it.
the task.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Fine. Let me suggest something. Why don't we listen to it one more time, and then it can be up for grabs. We can discuss it further. Um, so let me share. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Nice.
Hey everyone. Hi, Ms. Smith. I've been wondering, why do we use authentic texts in our English class? Great question, Alex. Authentic texts are key to developing real-life English skills. What exactly makes a text authentic? It's anything originally written for a non-classroom audience. Think newspaper articles, pop songs, blog posts. So not those course book drills or dialogues. Exactly. Authenticity in texts helps separate artificially simplified texts from unmodified, real texts. But why did inauthentic texts start to feel inadequate? With the rise of the communicative approach in ELT, inauthentic texts just didn't cut it as models for language use or as prep for real-life reading and listening. And this push for authenticity was also backed by the demand for English for special purposes, right? Exactly. Authentic texts bring a taste of the real world into the classroom. But aren't these texts tough for learners? That's why we say, grade the task, not the text. We tailor the activities to the students' levels, not change the text itself. How do we do that? We can ask students to skim, scan, or listen for gist. These tasks only need a general understanding of the text, making authentic materials more accessible. What about authentic classroom interaction? Authenticity isn't just about the materials, it's about how we use them in class. Can you give an example? Sure. Imagine a typical classroom exchange. Teacher, have I nose on my face? Student, yes, you have. Teacher, good. Not exactly riveting, right? No, it's not. So how do we make it more engaging? Start by choosing texts that interest your students. Incorporate news articles, songs, or even social media posts. And then design tasks that encourage real communication. Exactly. Ask open-ended questions, foster discussions, and let students express their thoughts. The goal is to prepare students for real-life situations, right? Yes. By using authentic texts and fostering genuine interaction, you're giving them the tools they need to navigate the English-speaking world. I'm excited to try this out in class. Give it a shot and watch your skills soar.
Okay. Interesting, huh? So what more? What did we take away from the video now that we have listened perhaps twice? You did it on your own and you have watched it with us. So what are some of the takeaways, if any? Okay, go ahead. Maya, go ahead.
I I think we take from the video that we need the authentic text and the authentic things to make the the class more enjoyable to the students and more useful for them, and that maybe that will help us in to make it the center of the class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how can we relate this to or link this to what we said about using the course book?
Maybe I can use it as a part of TTT strategy.
No, what I'm trying to say is that there is some relevance. What we're saying today about authenticity um, can also be added to the discussion on and about using the course book. So when you develop material, you use the course book, and this is obviously going to be a little bit artificial because it's the course book. It's something from the book. It's pre-made or prefabricated. Now you know that authenticity is very important, so you're not going to rely heavily on the course book. You will need to go out of your way and bring in stuff from real life, like we said, posts and blogs, clips, videos from outside, newspaper clippings and stuff like that. So again, they go hand in hand. Using the course book, and also at one point you may think that parts of the course book are not very engaging, are perhaps a little bit fake or not very genuine. And this way, you think of this idea of authenticity and you bring in authentic material. This is the link that I'm trying to establish between talking about the course book and talking about authenticity and authentic material in class. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so when asked about the hardest language skill to master, the learners usually say it is speaking. Do you agree with them? Being learners or lifelong learners, do you think that speaking, if we talk about the four skills, some people, or not some people, a majority of the people that I meet and that I talk to think that speaking is the hardest, is the most challenging. Do you agree with this? Whether we're talking, by the way, whether we're talking about English or any other language for that matter, because we have people who are learning other languages as we speak. So do you really think that speaking is the most challenging? I think we have time for everyone. Hala, go ahead.
Hello, doctor.
Yeah, hi, how are you?
So I think that speaking might be the easiest skill to learn a language because you don't need to write or remember how you don't need to remember what it looks like. You just need to hear, and hearing is easier than writing, and grammar and structure of the sentence is much harder than speaking. So if usually you're watching maybe Spanish series or programs, you would catch a couple of words, and you would see yourself repeating it, just like a child when we said that they first acquire the language by hearing. So I think that's my opinion, that it is easier than writing.
It depends on your definition of what comes out of your mouth, obviously. If what comes out of your mouth is simple stuff, it would be easy. But if we're talking about complicated, sophisticated material, if we talk about philosophy, if we talk about
Yes, yes, it
discussing
depends. Yes,
things,
on the vocab,
right?
the level
Right.
of vocab, yeah.
So if what comes out is organized noise, there is obviously nothing easier than that. But if it's big, if it's bigger
Basic.
than that, right? I think people have to stop and again re-evaluate and think whether speaking is really challenging or not. Can we have other people? So again, the contention here, the argument here is whether speaking is really the hardest of the skills or not. Again, we're asking because you guys are learners and you have gone through the experience yourselves. Okay, Razan, go ahead.
I agree with this idea. Speaking might
Mm,
be a little bit difficult or challenging
mhm. Do you
because,
have reasons for that? Yes.
yes, because when we try to speak, we sometimes make a lot of mistakes because of maybe choosing the unsuitable vocabulary.
But you can also make
Sometimes
mistakes.
when,
You can misread, you can mishear, you can miswrite if the
yes,
word exists. Yeah, right? But so it's not about
yes,
making mistakes. It's I'm talking about the level of difficulty. I mean, this people go through. People struggle. Do you think people
yes,
struggle with speaking?
yes, because it needs more than language knowledge.
Hmm. What does it need?
Speaking needs it needs confidence.
Hmm.
It needs a lot of practice.
Hmm.
It needs phonological training because every language has a different phonological rules, some different phonological rules.
Yes. You
So
mean pronunciation? You mean the pronunciation can
yes,
be
yes,
different. It can be challenging
yes,
sometimes. Stress, intonation, right?
yes. When someone tries to speak, he has to focus on many points
Hmm.
in this at the same time in order to speak clearly and develop organized ideas.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why it might be challenging for many people.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I actually agree with this idea that conversation or speaking is the hardest part because I have an experience with that, and I discovered that being a good speaker is depend on being a good writer, a good listener, and also I should have this soft skills like being confident, something like that. So if I want to be a good speaker, I should be a good writer, good listener, good reader, and uh, and should have this confidence and I should pronounce the words in the correct way. So it depends on different things.
Yeah. You mean you have a lot on your plate. You have lots of things to think about and consider, and that can weigh down on your mind. In this case, you get tired easily, perhaps. You get nervous easily, right? Sometimes you're not in control, right? Yeah, I agree. Thank you. Anybody else? Why speaking is the most challenging of the skills from your own experience as speakers of the language? Okay, let's move on. So, what do you think makes speaking difficult? And I would like you to think of the pressures and demands on the speaker. And when you think about that, I would like you to take these things into consideration. So think of the pressures and demands on the speaker and along these lines. Context or the lack thereof, planning and preparation or the lack thereof, familiarity with the topic or the lack thereof, audience or the lack thereof. I would like you to think of those four things when it comes to speaking and see whether knowing or not knowing about these things can make a difference. I'll give you a couple of minutes to think and come up with ideas. Again, the idea is about the pressures and the demands that uh, um, the speaker has to kind of, the speaker is under. Okay. So, do you think these things matter? Context, planning, and preparation, familiarity with the topic, the audience. Can we talk more about that? Whatever you understood when I said that context matters when it comes to speaking, what did you understand by that? So, do you think that context matter when it comes to speaking? That's wrong. Something is not right today. Okay. So when it comes to speaking, do you think that context, let's first of all define what a context is. What makes a context? Hmm. Okay. Hala, do you think that context matters?
Yes, I think the simple way of explaining what is a context, I think it's like a main theme. So there's sometimes you could say metaphors or words that don't make sense to translate it into Arabic. It's out of context. You can't uh, directly translate words to English or Arabic to English in the literal meaning because it could be not meaningful in the language. So I think learners use translating apps and so on, and they use it very bad, and they don't know that, and it could have difficulty uh, in them achieving a speaking skill.
Okay. Not exactly what I have in mind about the context, but that's fine.
Mhm.
You're doing a good job. Yeah, Mia, what's a context?
I think the context means maybe the subjects, and I have a problem with that if I don't have the enough knowledge about what we are talking about.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
yeah, that the second part is correct. The idea of having background knowledge. And that would include knowing about who you're talking to and why you're talking and where, even where where, like I said, with whom you're talking, whether those people are superior or perhaps um, equal to you or perhaps below you in rank or something. Again, when you're speaking, whether it's perhaps in the morning or the afternoon, the beginning of the year or the end of the year. So this is what we call the context. So time and place and also people can make all the difference. So context matters, actually. That can make and breaks or breaks, can make or break. So planning and preparation or the lack thereof. Do you think uh, we have preparation and planning when it comes to speaking? Do you have the time to prepare and plan before you speak? And obviously, I'm not talking about an interview that you have tomorrow or the day after, and you're preparing for it. I'm talking about spontaneous speech that you make every day, and you meet the people and you talk to them um, unprepared. Or Maya.
Maybe like putting the main things that I wanted to talk about, even though if I want to talk to the interviewer or to the teacher or to
No,
my
I'm talking
parents.
in general. Obviously, when we teach speaking in class, we don't prepare people for interviews because obviously that would be perhaps the job of a course in communication, in how to boost confidence, in how to say this or that in a certain way, how to use even formulas. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about spontaneous speech. I mean, somebody meets you and he or she says something and you have to react, or you start and initiate a conversation from scratch. So my question, if you're meeting somebody, perhaps in the middle of the day, you're going somewhere and he or she is going somewhere and you meet. Obviously, you were not meant to meet. Are you prepared for that? You're not prepared for that. So even though you're not prepared, you have to speak. He says something and you have to reply. You say something and he has to reply. Um, my question is whether you think that speaking is prepared, is planned ahead this way.
Maybe yes, because I should choose the correct words or the correct sentences, the correct
Yeah,
replies.
yeah, you should choose. You should choose and you should be very kind of choosy about what you're going to say. But do you have the time to do that? This is my question. If you're
No,
meeting somebody out of nowhere, again, it so happened that you meet them at school, you meet them, you're finishing or finalizing something in the passport department, for example, and you meet somebody accidentally and you have to share compliments, you have to share news. Are you prepared for that? Obviously or not. Would that affect your speaking abilities? Perhaps. Is there a solution for that? Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. So again, this is very important, the idea that speaking is something that you don't do that you do unprepared, because it's spontaneous, it just happens. Okay, familiarity with the topic, do you think that would affect and influence how we speak? Familiarity with the topic, whatever that means, familiarity with the topic. I can see only Hala and Mia. Can we have other people and Fatma also and Razan? Okay. Fatma, what do you have to say about this aspect of the conversation?
I think if you're unfamiliar with the topic, then obviously you won't have the vocabulary to communicate what you want to say. So it's going to make speaking or communicating your thoughts more
Difficult.
difficult.
Yes. So what you're trying to say that the more familiar with the topic, the better and the merrier, right? For the speaker. The more confident
Yeah.
you will become, the more perhaps eloquent,
The more
the more,
easy the conversation, flow
yes,
of the
the easier the
conversation.
conversation will go and flow. Yes, very good. And then you have audience. or the lack thereof. Do you think you know what audience means, of course? Now, obviously, speaking does not happen in a vacuum. You don't speak to yourself. Otherwise, people are going to you know think that you're crazy or something. So sometimes you speak to yourself, but you don't carry it to extremes. Normally, people speak to people. So this is audience, right? It can be one person and it can be hundreds of persons. Do you think that would make a difference, Razan?
Yes, it can make a difference
Mm.
because, especially these days, people might suffer with social anxiety. So they can take a long time until they adapt their skills to stay confident even in front of new people or many people.
Okay, so
So
you think that the size of the audience can make a difference? Do you think the
yes,
quality of the audience can make a difference? If you know, for example, that you're in front of people who are very highly educated, for example, they know
yes,
a lot about what you're going to talk about. So you have to perhaps be very careful with what you're
extremely
saying
careful.
because, yes, because they may stop you and say what you're saying is wrong. Do you think that can have its negative toll on you as a speaker?
Yes, it can. Uh, the speaker himself or herself can be in reality a good speaker with good knowledge, but when he or she thinks about the audience,
Mm.
he might get nervous
Yes,
sometimes.
yes, I agree. Fatma?
I think there's a saying that says know your audience. So I think if you don't know who you're speaking to, you should at least know who you're speaking to. If it's a higher up, then you have to know how to speak. I think that's
Mm,
also intimidating to the speaker.
mm,
And if it's a native speaker of that language, you might feel shy to make
mm,
mistakes. And
mm.
because maybe even though you might think a look is just a look of interest, you might think, oh no, they're looking at me like, oh, I made a mistake in saying something wrong or in how you said it. So that
Yes,
does affect, and it can consciously, you know,
it
play with
can
your mind.
hinder. It can, these are
Yes,
inhibitions that can kind of,
it can. Yes.
prevent you from being natural, from being, comfortable in your skin, like they say.
Yes.
Okay, good. So again, context matters. Planning and preparing and the lack thereof. Obviously, you don't have much time to plan and prepare because speaking is normally spontaneous. Again, the more you know about the topic, the better, of course. And of course, the more you're familiar with the audience, what kind of audience, whether they are the number is big or small, it can make all the difference. The quality of the audience, they know what you're talking about or not, can also make all the difference. I would like you to look at these statements and tell me which of them describe speaking and which of them would describe writing. So you were talking about features of speaking by perhaps setting those features against writing. I'll give you a couple of minutes to think of the scenarios and tell me which is which. You guys have a minute or two. Yalla, go ahead. Okay, so what do you think? Knowledge of pronunciation is required. So what are we talking about here? Are we talking about speaking or writing? Bushra,
About writing,
knowledge of pronunciation, how to pronounce words. Do you
okay,
think this is
about
a
speaking,
feature of writing?
about speaking.
This is speaking. Thank you so much. So the language is sometimes produced as part of an exchange of messages. What do you think this is? Shamsa, what do you think? The,
To
lang-
doctor writing.
the language is sometimes produced as part of an exchange of messages. By the way, it can be both, right? Because
Yes, doctor.
with speaking, you also have this exchange of messages. You say something and somebody replies. This is obviously exchange of messages.
Yes,
Okay,
doctor.
yeah, let's move on. Thank you. There is usually a more permanent record of what is produced. This is number 3. Let's have uh, Mia for it.
Can we sit both?
No. This one, no. If we say that there is usually a more permanent record, permanent means
It's
something that will stay.
can sit writing.
Yeah, of course, writing, because writing, you have a writing record. You can save it on the computer, you can save it in your closet, right? But with speaking, I mean, it's not permanent, it's ephemeral. Once you say something, that would be it, right?
Yeah.
Um, okay, let's move on. Fatma, what's the fourth one? People usually have planning time before the language is produced.
This is writing.
This is, of course, writing. Yeah, you have all the time there is to plan ahead. Okay, so knowledge of spelling and punctuation is required. If knowledge of punctuation and spelling is required, so we're talking about what? Dina.
Writing.
Well, of course, we're talking about writing. Thank you, Dina. Okay, so people must usually understand the message in real time and respond immediately. When this happens, what are we talking about? Bushra.
Speaking
We're talking about speaking because we're talking about real time things.
at the same time.
Yes, accuracy can be more important because there is a permanent record of language, uh, of the language produced. What do you think, Toka?
Writing,
Yeah, if we have a permanent record, obviously we care more for accuracy, being accurate and being very um, particular about what you're saying. And okay, one more. This is also distinguishing between written and spoken texts, and I'll give you a couple of minutes to think about them too. I'll see whether this is spoken or written text. Yeah, give you a couple of minutes. So let me ask you a different question. Most of them are what? Features of the spoken or the written text? Raise your hand. So most of them are what? Spoken or written? Bushra, what do you think? Because you're raising your hand. Okay, so drop your hand, dear Bushra. Okay, so most of them are what, Mia?
Spoken.
Yeah, most of them are spoken. Yeah, let's take them one at a time. Number one, there are no hesitations. There are no hesitations. What do you think? This is what? This is spoken or written language. This is speaking or writing. If there are no
Spoken.
hesitations, obviously it's spoken. Okay, let's move to the second one. What does it say? I mean, raise your hand if you know the answer. Words and phrases such as you know, oh, are not used. Razan.
This is written language.
Yeah, this is written. Of course, in written language, you don't use you know, you see. What do we call those things? You know, you see. Um, do you know their names? We have a name for them in linguistics or in perhaps psycho and sociolinguistics. Do you know the name? Drop your hand so
Maybe
that I know whether you're going to talk about that or not. So when you see, you know, I mean, and we even use it in Arabic when I say يعني. I am, for example, uh, um, I use the word يعني a lot. What do we call this? It has a name or a label. Do you know what it means, ya Maya? Because you're raising your hand.
maybe expressions, something like that.
No, it's not. Actually, we call it fillers. Filler. And obviously, it has a function and a purpose. Why? Why do you think when when I talk and I say, يعني, you know, you see.
To
So it's
fill the
called a fill,
gaps,
to fill
like to
the
fill.
yeah, to fill a gap because you're not very um, very quick with what you're saying, so you don't want to lose or you don't want the other person to lose interest. So you're trying to fill in the gap until you think of something. So it's called the filler, and it's something that we use. What do you think? We use it in speaking or in writing? Do we have such a thing in writing?
No.
We don't have that in writing. Okay. Let's move to 4. There are no incomplete sentences. This is a feature of writing or speaking when there are no incomplete sentences. Fatma.
This would be writing.
Yeah, that would be writing because writing does not have incomplete sentences.
Teacher, we don't answer question number 3.
Yeah, sorry. There are often false starts. For example, I'm going and going to. We need to explain what a false start is. You know what a false start is?
Can we said not professional start, something like
No, no. Don't improvise. This is an expression, it's a concept. If you don't know what the concept is, you don't have to answer every single question, yeah, Mia. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. That's completely fine. So what is a false start? It's something that you guys perhaps did at one point in your studies. Um,
It's when you're
what? Go ahead.
it's when you're going to start a sentence and then you may stop midway and then start something else, a
Yes, and you
different
start
sentence.
another sentence. Yes. So you were saying something and then you stop and then you change the sentence midstream or midway. So you don't complete the sentence and then you give another sentence, perhaps rephrasing what you're saying. This is called a false start. And it is also a feature of what? What do you think a false start is a feature of? Are we allowed to do this in writing? To start a sentence and then you midway you start another sentence?
No, that would be a
Perhaps,
feature of speaking.
yeah, yeah, that wouldn't be good at all in writing. Okay. So there tends to be more repetition of words or phrases. When do we do that? Repetition of words and phrases, many repetitions. Mia?
Speaking.
Yeah, of course, because if you repeat yourself in writing, this is bad. Remember, when you write, you need to have variety. You need to rephrase what you're saying, right? Um, so obviously, this is speaking. There are vague expressions such as sort of, something. What do you think this is? Speaking or writing? Vague language. Are you allowed to use vague language in writing? And do you think
No.
using vague language is a strategy that you use? What are examples of vague languages? When you use the word stuff, you spoke about stuff. You didn't define or specify what stuff is. When I say I think so, when when you're being elliptical, using short things that not so many people would understand. Again, this is also a strategy, and it is part and feature of the speaking skill. And again, you do it um, in order to buy time. It's a time buying strategy and mechanism in speaking. And then so the participants can show interest in the text immediately by using expressions such as really, oh no, yeah, good. Okay, what do you think this is? Okay, Maya?
Speaking.
Yeah, speaking. Because writing can be slow. I mean, you send something to somebody, you don't have immediate reaction, right? It can take time until he or she reads it, and he may not read it, right? But if somebody is saying, yes, I agree, that's good, that's fine, obviously, this is an indication that we're talking about that somebody is speaking and you are engaged with him or her in whatever he or she says. The linking words which are used to tend to be and, so, but, and because. Razan, are you raising your hand?
Yes,
Yeah, go ahead.
it's a written language.
Uh, Perhaps you need to think a little. because we also use but and because in spoken language, but perhaps using them, we tend to use them very excessively in spoken language. These are the only linking words that we use. And obviously, you have a repertoire of linking words and phrases if you are writing, right? So what we're trying to say is that these are the only linking words that we use. Again, why? We use them in speaking more often than not because they are easy to use. These are the things that you think of. But if you're relaxed, if you're writing something, you would use other, linking words and phrases. And instead of using and, you can use um,
In addition,
in addition, furthermore, right? And instead of using so, you can use the word therefore, consequently, in consequence. And instead of using but, you can use yet, however. And instead of using because, you can use what? Because
for this
what?
reason,
For this reason, yes. We can use a lot of other more sophisticated expressions. Intonation and stress are used to highlight new information. Do you use intonation and stress in writing? Shamsan, do we use intonation and stress in writing?
No, doctor.
No.
Intonation and stress speaking as syllable.
Yes, we use them in speaking. Yes. There are often interruptions and overlapping terms between participants. Razan.
spoken language.
Yeah, obviously, when you write, nobody interrupts you, right?
Yes,
And there is
yes,
no turn overlap because when you write, you normally write on your own, and then later, much later, somebody can read with her. So there is no exchanges where somebody may take your turn. No turn taking in writing, right? Very good. Let's
yes.
move on. And these are the answers, and I think we're agreed on them. I would like you to read this, which is more or less a clarification of the whole thing. I mean, the difference, obviously, between writing and speaking. Yalla, go ahead. I'll give you 3 minutes because it's long and deep. Okay. So can somebody read it out loud for us? Fatma, can you read it out loud?
Yes, no problem.
Yeah, go ahead.
Both speaking and writing are interactive in the sense that there is always an audience involved. People always speak to someone, people always write to someone, even if the latter is to themselves in a journal or on a shopping list. Further, both can be part of an exchange of messages to varying degrees. In speaking, people usually say something in response to what someone else has said, although there are exceptions to this. Example, giving a presentation. In writing, too, the text produced is sometimes part of an exchange. For example, emails and letters are often responses to other emails and letters. The key difference between the skills relates to the time taken to produce the language. When someone speaks, it is usually spontaneous. People must understand the message that they are hearing in real time and respond immediately. In contrast, when writing, it is not necessarily to rapidly comprehend a message just before language is produced. There is usually planning time. Furthermore, what is produced lasts a lot longer than things which are said. There is a more permanent record. As a result, accuracy can be more important when people write.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think we spoke about that. I'm not going to spend more time on that. Let's move on. So this is perhaps more specifically about spoken texts, their features. Um, Again, we're talking about the idea of speaking being more spontaneous, which means unplanned. We're talking about the idea of having false starts. We're talking about repetition and the fact that there is a great deal of repetition, repeated words and expressions and phrases. Um, Again, in a speaking situation, you're either a speaker or a listener, and you guys take turns. Sometimes you're a speaker and sometimes you're a listener. So if you are a speaker, you say things. If you're a listener, you need to show interest in using um, expressions like really, yeah, you know, you can say this again. Speakers tend to use a limited variety of lingo. Like I said, with speaking, you don't have the luxury to think of so many linking words. So you limit yourself to simple linking words like but, so, because, and. Um, Again, with speaking, you also use suprasegmental elements like intonation and stress. Um, and they are very important. They make all the difference and they can kind of deliver the messages that you want uh, delivered. Again, there is a great deal of interruption because it takes to speaking takes to, I mean, you as a speaker and then somebody else as a listener, and then you switch roles and you become the listener and he or she becomes the speaker. Again, these are factors which make speaking difficult, and I would like you to look at them and see whether you agree with them or not. This is perhaps in the classroom. So we're not talking about speaking in life. We're now in the classroom. So these are things that may make speaking difficult within the class. Think about them. So these are the factors or reasons which make speaking difficult and challenging. I think you would agree that not having enough time to think or plan is a quality and a feature of speaking. Sometimes you don't have enough vocabulary or grammar. Sometimes you find the pronunciation of certain words difficult, and that can hamper and stop speaking. Sometimes you're self-conscious and you don't want to make mistakes. That's why you don't speak at all. Sometimes, if your speaking is a reaction or a response to somebody else's utterance or sentence, and sometimes you don't understand what they want to say. So in this case, you either don't speak because you don't understand, or if you speak, you improvise, you say something that is not very coherent. Sometimes you lack the necessary confidence. You don't have enough confidence to speak out, to go out of your way and speak. So, do you agree with these reasons? I'm talking about you as a student at one point in your life, where these factors inhibiting, did they ever stop you from speaking? Not having enough time to think or plan, not having enough vocabulary or grammar, finding the pronunciation difficult, not wanting to make mistakes, not understanding what other people are saying, not having the necessary level of confidence to go out of your way and speak. Okay. Can I see hands? Have you, Razan, go ahead.
I totally agree with everything. And as a student, my biggest problem is the fear of making mistakes.
Yeah, and this is very, it can inhibit you, it can stop you from taking initiative and speaking, right?
Yes.
Mhm. Yes. Mia?
Actually, my problem is uh, with that I don't understand sometimes what the speaker said. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
because of the vocabulary that he or
He or
she
she
used.
uses. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But would you allow the conversation to fail? Would you try to do something?
Actually, I don't know. I just go with
You
the
don't
conversation and see what
you,
they
you
have.
don't you don't you don't ask for clarification, because this is asking for clarification is part of the strategies that you have to use in speaking. You can ask
Actually,
for
not a,
clarification.
not every time.
Mhm. Okay. So we've been talking about issues and problems and challenges in speaking for so long, but we didn't talk or we didn't offer solutions. Um, So what are the solutions? And do we have fixed solutions? I mean, solutions that people agreed on over the years in order to enhance the speaking experience, to make speaking better, to make people more confident when they speak? Yes, absolutely. We have a number of things that we can consider and do so that speaking can be better. What are they? Let's look at them. So speaking is a skill. So whatever enhances my speaking skills would be called a sub skill or a strategy. So obviously, and like I always say with the skills, we're not enhancing or improving your skills because you have them. You know how to hear, you know how to obviously read, you know how to speak, and you know how to listen. So what we're doing is that we're enhancing your soft skills in the second language. You're enhancing those skills in the second language. And in order to do that, we develop certain soft skills or strategies. So when it comes to speaking, these are the things that we do. We may take turns in conversation. We may want to show interest. We may ask for clarification. We may check whether the listeners are following or not. We may also try to organize speech. And this is not the end of it. We can also use fillers, and we can also use vague language. Okay, I'll give you a minute to read them all and to read the philosophy behind them. Why we're, for example, using fillers, why we're, for example, using vague language. Okay, go ahead, I'll give you a couple of minutes. Think about them. Okay, so these are sub skills and strategies that we use in order to speak better in the second language. You already speak in your first language, and obviously, we're not going to do anything with that. We're enhancing your speaking skills in the second language. And how can we do that? We do that through using a number of sub skills and strategies, right? Um, and of course, you don't use them interchangeably, the one for the other. Every and each one of them has a certain purpose and philosophy. Like fillers, for example, you use fillers to buy the speaker thinking time. You're thinking as a speaker. So while thinking and you don't want the other person to lose interest, you put out, you give a filler, like, you see, يعني. You sometimes use vague language also to buy time. And perhaps you use vague language because you don't have the right word or the right expression. You lack lexis. Okay, so let's now go to another video where we also have the whole idea explained, even with the solutions that we have just spoken about. So let me see if I am so ready to listen, huh?
Inshallah.
Okay, let's do it.
You need to hear this if you're an educator. Why is speaking a new language like climbing Mount Everest? Let's dive into why speaking is the ultimate language challenge. For starters, it's spontaneous and unplanned. You can't hit rewind on a conversation. Think about it. When you speak, you've got to juggle who you're talking to and where you are. Is it your buddy or your boss, at home or on stage? Next, you need to plan and prepare what to say, even if you've got seconds to do it. Familiarity with the topic helps, but what if you're blanking out? And then there's the audience. Is it one person or 100? Are they language pros or beginners? The pressure's real, but fear not, brave speaker. Here's how to conquer the speaking beast. Take turns in conversations, show interest, ask for clarification, and make sure your listeners are following. Use vague language and time-buying strategies like fillers. Remember, practice makes perfect. So, ready to turn those flaming torches into a cool light show? You've got this.
I would like you to hear it one more time, sorry.
You need to hear this if you're an educator. Why is speaking a new language like climbing Mount Everest? Let's dive into why speaking is the ultimate language challenge. For starters, it's spontaneous and unplanned. You can't hit rewind on a conversation. Think about it. When you speak, you've got to juggle who you're talking to and where you are. Is it your buddy or your boss, at home or on stage? Next, you need to plan and prepare what to say, even if you've got seconds to do it. Familiarity with the topic helps, but what if you're blanking out? And then there's the audience. Is it one person or 100? Are they language pros or beginners? The pressure's real, but fear not, brave speaker. Here's how to conquer the speaking beast. Take turns in conversations, show interest, ask for clarification, and make sure your listeners are following. Use vague language and time-buying strategies like fillers. Remember, practice makes perfect. So, ready to turn those flaming torches into a cool light show? You've got this.
Okay, I think this sums up the whole conversation about speaking, doesn't it? Okay, let's do an activity, an exercise in which we have the script of a conversation, and I would like you, typical of conversations, and obviously this is speaking, you're going to see people talking to each other, and then see in order to maintain the conversation, um, they deploy a number of sub skills that we're familiar with already. Let's read and see what's happening. So these are the sub skills that they are using. Hesitation is one of them. False starts is another. Repetition is a third. Showing interest and using vague languages are fourth and fifth. Yeah, I'll give you perhaps 3 minutes, and I would like you to stick labels. I would like you to read and tell me which conversational strategy is used. You guys have 3 minutes. Go ahead. Okay. So what do we have? Let's do it in a different way. I'll give you the answer key and I would like you to check whether you agree or not. Let me give you the answer key.
Okay.
I don't know where this is the answer key. Go ahead. Okay. Clear? In situations where you're hesitant, you normally use fillers like you know, you see, right? You use a lot of repetition, a lot of vague language, right? In order for the conversation to go on, you show interest in what the other person is saying. And there is also a great deal of false starts. Okay, so I would like us to try to practice that. And that's why I'm going to ask you to do something interesting. I would like you to choose any movie, any part of a movie, and I would like to watch it for 15 minutes, for only 15 minutes, and I would like you. Nobody told me that my cam was off. Again, I'm
Yes,
talking
it was
about this 15-minute uh, clip or video. I would like you to watch it and try to kind of uh, track down all those sub strategies and sub skills that that people are using in the conversation in order for the conversation not to fall. So can we do that? Everyone will
Doctor, can you
choose.
repeat?
Yeah, we're trying to practice um, detecting. Just give me a second. Again, we're Al Gawar, I'm talking to you. We're actually trying to practice how people can maintain a conversation using strategies and soft skills that we spoke about when it comes to speaking. So, what I want you to do in order to do that, I would like you to choose a movie or a TV series, whatever you think is best for you, and take only five. Did I say 15? I said 15 minutes. And then we from those 15 minutes, I would like you to take out those sub skills and those strategies used. Tell me that there are failures, there are hesitation signs, that there are people are trying to take turns, and all the other things that we spoke about. I'm going to stop on this note and with this item. and I'll see you inshallah next week. We have perhaps 2 more minutes if you would like to share something. I think we're done. Let me stop the recording. Yeah.